house esthetician Emily, who's going to be leading that one. But if you've got questions that don't get answered, or if you're just curious and want to hear more, learn more, hang around after, hop into the Zoom that happens after, and yeah, we can help you out there. But I'm here in Kansas City, so I'm in the Midwest. It's very sunny, but very chilly where I'm at today, which I'll take because I think we've got a warm summer on the horizon here. Hello. Okay, let's see. We've got a few more updates. Penny from Alaska, but it's a little chilly where you are. Patricia from Texas. Melanie from Tennessee. Awesome. Well, I'll kind of start off here. So we're talking about the Restore collection today. Um, and our Restore collection, so what is the Restore collection? Our Restore collection is basically like our little collection of products that are part of the Signature collection that are specifically supporting dry skin and signs of aging. So it includes a pretty wide array of products. Um, Everything from, our aloe herb cleanser to a couple of our masks. Um, yeah, we talk about lots and lots and lots when we're talking about different needs related to signs of aging. So I want to go through and just introduce the Restore collection, and then we'll get into talking about, kind of the nitty-gritty. The cleanser that is part of the Restore collection is the aloe herb cleanser. So this cleanser here, I imagine that many of you have tried this cleanser if you have been a regular customer of ours, or if you found us, via a trial kit, you've tried that one. It does have a toning mist. This is the Neroli toning mist that's part of the Restore collection here. Love this one. The scent profile of this one is pretty dreamy. Smells, I'm sure this will shock you, like neroli. It does have two different serums. So one of them is, of course, the anti-aging serum, which again is a highly, highly loved serum. Many people absolutely adore this one. The other one that's part of that collection is the citrus stem cell serum. So these two typically are part of the Restore collection. It's got two different facial oils that are part of it. One of them is the anti-aging. The other is the herbal facial oil for sensitive skin. And then to top everything off, we've got our anti-aging eye cream and our Sun Love. Sun Love, of course, is your last step before, makeup or anything. And then two different masks. So we've got the coconut honey mask. We've also got the illuminating pearl mask. We are going to do a little giveaway for the illuminating pearl mask here in a little bit. So stay tuned. That one is right around the corner. And then we do have, of course, the kaolin micro exfoliant here that is part of the Restore collection. So we utilize this collection, to back up even further. Any of our products that have this tan label are part of the Signature line, which means they're our foundational line. They have a wide array of products. Any products that have a black label, so if you're checking out the site and you see some products with a black label, those are going to be part of the Wild Alchemy collection. So those are different. The Restore collection is under the umbrella of the Signature collection. And so all of the products that are in that are going to have that nice tan label. But again, everything that's in the Restore collection is designed to support dry skin and aging skin. So, I'm going to scroll up here. As I'm going along, if you have questions, please pop them in the chat. I am happy to answer those. Happy to get those answered as we're kind of going along here. But before I go too much further, Grace, do you wanna share what our promo is for today?
Yes, let me go ahead and put it in the chat as well. But hi, everyone. It's so lovely to see your faces for those of you who are on camera. We are offering 25% off the Restore collection today with the code ASC Restore Love at checkout. And just a few things, please note that this code is not applicable towards subscriptions or the beauty shelf or our natural home collection. And if you are watching this at a later date, the code is no longer live. And then lastly, the code is live until 1 p.m. Pacific time today, which I realize is not in the message in the chat, but I will add it right now. And I think that's about it, but happy shopping.
Cool. Yeah, if you're someone who's been like interested in stocking up on some anti-aging products, this is a good time. That 25% off does only last for a couple hours, and so it's a great time to stock up on some of these items. So I want to back up even further because when we do our consultations, one of the big things that we get into is like building a routine and building a basic routine. So making sure that you've got all of the appropriate staples in your routine to be meeting your needs. And that typically will include your cleanser, your toner, your serum, and your facial oil. I've already kind of introduced, given you a sneak peek, I guess, at what some of these particular products are. But let's go through the four kind of main ones in a little more detail. So this is the Aloe Herb Cleanser. And I want to show you the consistency of it here, the aloe herb. So it's very, very soft. It's got this nice kind of light, almost lotion feel to it. Very comfy, smells amazing. None of our cleansers have any surfactants. So if you are new to Anne Marie Skincare and that feels like a big transition, just a heads up that nothing that you put on your skin, whether it's a cleanser, a body wash, the shampoo, nothing's gonna foam or bubble or get really sudsy. And that's, purposeful. That's by design. We don't use sulfates in our products. So the feel of the aloe herb cleanser on the skin, it can feel very soft, but it is still a very effective cleanser. It is foundationally anchored with aloe vera juice. And aloe vera juice, when it hits water, it takes on this kind of blooming feel. It's got this saponification effect. And that's where we get a lot of the cleansing aspect with that aloe vera juice and then the water. And then the herbs that we steep into that are also very intentional. So, skin types that love the aloe herb cleanser, we've got dry skin, of course, and aging skin, but also very sensitive or reactive prone skin. I'll use myself as an example. My skin type is fairly dry. I can definitely get sensitive, especially more sensitive over the course of the winter. And this is the one that I reach for most of the time. I wouldn't say I have incredibly dry skin. I wouldn't say I have incredibly sensitive skin, but even with the kind of dry sensitivity that I've got, this one is still the one that feels most ideal for me, the aloe herb cleanser. Um, yeah, the this one with the herbs that are steeped into it, we've got calendula, we've got lemon balm, and so if you are somebody who's prone to rosacea or prone to reactivity, it feels particularly soothing on the skin. Now, how you use it's pretty straightforward. Splash a little water on your face, do a couple pumps, massage it in, and then you rinse it off. And then you're going to come into the next step, which is your toning mist, right? So we've cleansed the skin and then we tone. We've got a pretty wide array of toners, but this one is a just undeniable classic. It's called the Neroli Toning Mist. Uh, so how you use it is pretty straightforward as well. Pop the top off, hold it away from the face, gently mist the face. Smells unbelievable. If you're anybody who's into like neroli or like citrus or florals, it does a really good job of capturing that feel. What this does though, so it's again anchored in an aloe vera juice. It is lightly hydrating, but it is priming the skin for your serum, for your oil. It's also with that neroli essential oil really helping to stave off fine lines and helping to keep skin very strong. So this works as this kind of anti-aging support. It also works as this very synergistic piece with the serum and the oil to help everything absorb into the skin in this beautifully even way. I'm curious, and I'd love to hear in the chat how many have tried the Neroli toning mist. If you've tried it, what you've thought of the Neroli toning mist. I've been with Anne Marie Skincare for 7 years or so, and when I started, everybody used the Neroli toning mist. At that point in time, we had two toners, so it was either Neroli or Rosemary. So it was like you had one of two options, and everybody loved the Neroli. So it's been super interesting to see over the years as we've launched new products who still uses the Neroli, who reaches for the Neroli, all of that. Oh wow, so many fans. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna get over here. Melanie has used it and loved it. Michelle loves it. Maria loves it. Victoria loves it. No, would love to like the smell too. Yeah, the smell is pretty awesome. If you're familiar with neroli, I mean, that is what it smells like pretty directly. I've used it for a year. Also love the new rose. I know. I love the rose. I am a huge fan of the rose hydrosol too. Using it a while and love it. It's lovely. Currently using the botanical. Yeah, the botanical's a really nice one for very sensitive skin. So it does have a kind of uniqueness to it. Neroli. Oh, Neroli's your favorite. Love that. Juanita, that's amazing. Never used a toner. Okay, Celeste. So I wanna dive into that just briefly. So toners, I feel like the toning mist is often a skipped step. A lot of times people are like, I don't need it. What's the point? And if you're not using it and you're getting away without using it, then I think you're fine. But I will say it can very much change the way your products wear. It can also really work with the skin. So the Neroli toning mist is very simple. That Neroli is really working on maintaining very strong skin so that your skin has some resiliency. You can make all the facial expressions and it returns to this kind of default state. But the toning mist, just whether it's Neroli or any of the toning mists, when you mist the skin and then apply the serum, every single one of our serums has some variation of a humectant to it. And a humectant is an ingredient that seeks moisture out in order to pull it to itself so it can expand. So when we're using a toning mist and then applying a serum, we're giving that serum kind of a boost. We're really helping to bolster the kind of full rounded look that skin can take on because we've already got some moisture on the skin. Also, I like to describe kind of the experience of a toning mist in this way. So, skin can be very much like a sponge. And if you think of like a spill on your counter, if you took a bone dry sponge and set it onto that spill, it's not going to absorb that water or whatever super quickly. Usually what does a little bit better is if you dampen the sponge and then wring it out. So it's a lightly dampened sponge and then it can very much absorb whatever it's setting in or on. And skin can be very similar. And so when we're running into any issues where we feel like product is sitting on the surface of the skin, or you're using the most moisturizing products, but you feel like skin is still dry, this is where toning mist can really make a big difference, is because they can really help serum and or oil absorb that much more deeply into the skin. So wanted to zoom in on that. Okay, I'm gonna come back to some of these comments here. Loved it, loved it, loved it. Okay, so had a break the first time you used it and then decided to try it again and it worked out. I've used the lactic acid toner. I do love the Oh, hey, Julie. Hey. Yeah, the lactic toner is pretty awesome. And yes, the Neroli will fit within any other line. All of our products are fairly synergistic. So if you're used to using the Wild Alchemy products, the Black Label products, you don't have to stick with the Black Label products. You can use some, of the tan label. You can use, whatever. They can mix and match. So yes, you could still use the Neroli toning mist. Um, gotcha. Okay, switch to the botanical. So the rosemary toning mist is not part of the Restore collection. That's a great question. The rosemary toning mist is another toning mist that we offer, but because the rosemary toning mist is really designed more for skin that is oily or gets oily, it is not part of the Restore collection. The Restore collection is specific to dry and aging, so dry, mature skin types. So that one does not fit within that window. Great. Okay, great questions. So we've cleansed the skin, we've toned the skin. This is where we use a serum. And I want to talk about the two that we've got in here. I'm going to start with the citrus stem cell because I have a feeling I'm going to spend more time on the anti-aging. So serums as a concept tend to be very aqueous. We want them to absorb into the skin. You usually are using just one single serum in that serum spot. So you're not layering, you're not mixing them. Most of the time, you're going to pick one serum and use that. Now, the first one we've got in the Restore collection is the citrus stem cell serum. And we specifically have this one because of its brightening aspect and the stem cell component. The stem cell component, so stem cells, how do we explain stem cells? Stem cells are particularly supportive for the lift of the skin. So if what you're experiencing as you're starting to notice signs of aging is you're noticing some drooping, usually, kind of jawline, sides of the face are some of the first indicators where we're starting to see that. Sometimes it can be kind of nasal labial folds. It could be other areas, but these are the most common. And we're starting to see a little bit of a loss of volume, a little bit of drooping. What stem cells do as you apply stem cells, they absorb nice and deep into the skin. And then as they sit in the skin and move their way up to be visible skin, your skin mimics the behavior. It kind of emulates a lot of the qualities of stem cells. So what we see is kind of more rounded, more taut, more full looking skin, utilizing and regularly utilizing stem cells. Now, aside from that, the citrus stem cell serum also has these very specific brighteners. It's got uva ursi and it's got licorice root. And those two are very directly supportive for fading things like sunspots, which are definitely things that come up as we're starting to see some signs of aging. So this is the citrus stem cell serum. It is fairly light. It does have a little bit of hydration to it, but it's on the lighter side. The next one, this is our anti-aging serum here. This is a classic. So as far as best sellers go, this one is usually neck and neck with the anti-aging facial oil. So this is one that is one of our foundational launches. A lot of people love this one. A lot of people, yeah, return to this one. We do have it available in a larger size. I don't think I have the large one on my desk right now, but if you really, really love it, you can also invest in the bigger one. The anti-aging serum is designed to soften signs of aging, as the name very directly suggests. We do have in that one a lot of hyaluronic acid, and hyaluronic acid is this really beautiful humectant. So this is one that really helps to put some moisture into the skin. So if you are very dry, the anti-aging serum feels pretty good. It can be quite lovely. It also has this really beautiful floral complex that includes rose and edelweiss and life everlasting flower that are all being utilized to support the strength of the skin. Florals in general are usually used to maintain very resilient skin, but rose and life everlasting flower are pretty top tier. These are very potent as far as sustaining very youthful looking skin. So the anti-aging serum is a very popular one. I'd love to hear similarly to the Neroli, who in the chat has used this, who, if you've used it, what you think of it. Have you tried it before? Um, let me see here. And then I'm going to scroll up and see if I've got some questions here. Okay, Michelle definitely uses that right after workout. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is shifting gears a little bit, backing up. Margarita likes the rosemary for after working out. Ooh, yeah. I love having the rosemary toning mist after a workout. Um, it's great. Yeah, great in the face, great in the hair. Really good for that. So, Barbara, if you have dry skin and need an aging products, which product should I use? Using the fruit serum and brightening for sunspots. So that's a really great combo. Barbara, pretty much any of the products that we're talking about today could be specifically supportive. The Restore collection is specifically designed and curated for skin types that are dry and are aging. So it feels like this is, similar to what you've got going on. So any of these could be really good. I do love the wild fruit serum. The wild fruit serum is not part of the Restore collection, so I'll kind of give you a peek about it, but I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it. But it is a pretty wide capture as far as addressing signs of aging. So it's got peptides, it's got stem cells, it's got resveratrol, it's got two different brighteners, great for dark spots, great for drooping, great for resiliency, so fine lines, creases. So this is one of my favorites for signs of aging. I do love it, and especially if we're working on sunspots, combining that with the Brighten, which is this. This is a booster, which unfortunately, again, is not part of the Restore collection, but you can use this booster, mix it into any of your serums, and kind of create the effect that you want. That is a pretty potent combo. So I do think that those two are pretty good for you, Barbara. Um, Laura, are the oils non-comedogenic? Yes, all of the oils are non-comedogenic. Okay, let's see who loves it. Okay, Pam loves it. Loves the anti-aging. That's awesome. Margarita loves it. Penny loves it. Anne loves it. Using anti-aging serum and oil. Yeah, we'll talk about the oil here in a minute. Karen's got it on subscription. It is one of our most subscribed to products. So a little bit of background or behind the scenes info. When we're considering launching a product in a larger size, so the anti-aging serum is available in a larger size. Unfortunately, like I said, I don't have it on my desk, but you can check it out on the site. What we're looking at is the purchase rate, of course, but we're also looking at the repurchase rate and the subscription rate. Right. So it tells us when we're seeing that a product has a high repurchase rate and a high subscription rate is that people have tried it and are liking the effects of it. They want more. And the anti-aging serum is one that is very, very highly subscribed to. And so that tracks. Karen, that's on your subscription. Melanie loves it. Using for a couple of years and love it. Love, love, love. Kay hasn't tried it yet. Okay. There's always time. Have tried it for years. Anti-aging serum. Nice. All right. Jean has tried several serums. You've got a pretty good array there. Yeah, and let's talk about this. So Ian shared with all of the skincare marketing, it's hard to know what our realistic expectations should be for visible results. This is a really, really good comment or question. I do try to set pretty fair expectations when I'm talking about the products because one of the benefits of using plant-based all natural ingredients is that we're using ingredients that work with the body. As such, it can take a little bit of time for you to start to see results. Specifically, if you're working on things like dark spots or drooping. Dark spots, drooping, or deeper creasing, these three things. And the reason that takes a minute is because a lot of times what happens, so let's use drooping, for example. When we're using something like stem cells, like I kind of talked about, the way they work is they actually absorb into the skin. If you're looking at your skin, your upper chunk has like 5 basic layers, and we're really working with the upper 3. So stem cells will absorb into the skin. And then your skin goes through a natural kind of shedding, movement process where about every 28 to 35 days or so, it can be slower as we age, your skin naturally sheds, it naturally sloughs, and new fresh skin moves up to the surface. This is how the organ of skin works. So when we're using something that is eliciting change lower in the skin, something like stem cells, specifically with drooping and deep creasing, something like tyrosinase inhibitors or specific brighteners with dark spots, it can take maybe 1 to 3 full skin cycles for you to see that change that is happening move up to be the visible skin that's on the surface. So typically when I'm working with someone and we're talking about how long it can take for a serum or any product really to make a change in the skin, usually what I say is you're probably going to feel a lot more hydrated pretty immediately. Hyaluronic acid or any of the humectants that we have in the products, there's not really a turnaround time. Sometimes it can take a day or two, but usually pretty quickly, you're going to feel a little plumper. You're going to feel a little bit more hydrated. You might look a little dewier. You might have your skin look a little fuller. And then as that kind of builds and accumulates, you start to see a softening in fine lines increasing. And that can vary. So that can be, within a couple days, it can be within a week or two. But usually, pretty quickly, things like fine lines and very dry skin, you can start to notice a difference with. It's things like drooping, creasing, and fine line or deep drooping, creasing, and dark spots, excuse me, that take a little bit more time for us to start to see the changes there. So keep that in mind. For some people, it's 4 weeks. For some people, it's closer to the 6 to 8 week mark. And it's kind of like working out. So a lot of times what I'll say is like you're going to start to notice the difference first, but somebody who's like maybe a coworker or a family member that you don't see all the time, somebody who's not in your face regularly, it's going to take a little bit more time for somebody like that to notice a difference with your skin. So that's the long-winded response to, how do you know what to expect? How do you know when to expect it? I also want to set realistic expectations that sometimes creasing has happened to such a degree that the creasing is showing up in the muscle. So let's use like a Levin's, for example. If you have had a repeated facial expression here over and over and over again, then that crease is actually showing up muscularly, not just on the surface of the skin. When that happens, this is where we're wanting to work with tools, something like a gua sha or facial cupping. Gua sha is incredibly supportive for muscular creasing. And I mean, we do have calls that are like 90 minutes just on gua sha. So I'm not going to go deep down the gua sha rabbit hole, but this is something that can be helpful for things that are showing up in the muscle. Now, then that change gets to be sustained with what you're using topically. So anyway, I made that a very long answer, but that's my response to that comment there, Anne. Kim, so which is best for sunspots? So between the two serums that we've got part of the Restore collection, the citrus stem cell serum is going to be a lot more targeted for sunspots. This is going to be something that's actually very, very directly addressing pigmentation in the skin. Now, we do also have the wild fruit serum, which is not part of the Restore collection, but is something that is very, very supportive for dark spots or sunspots in the skin. So that's another option. But as far as Restore collection goes, the citrus stem cell is going to be pretty spot on for you there. So great question. Okay, scrolling down, seeing what we got. Okay. Emily, I have a follow-up question to your question here. So, Emily, you have shared that you love the anti-aging serum. You got the hemp serum when it came out. And do I have suggestions? I'm curious if your question is like suggestions to integrate both of them. Because typically what that looks like, you're not usually going to layer or mix serums. So a lot of times what it looks like is you have one serum that's your morning serum and one serum that's your evening serum. And that tends to kind of meet the need and lets you get the benefits of both of them in a routine that works for you. Yay! Oh wow, Celeste started using it about 20 years ago. That's so cool. And the hemp serum. Yeah, hemp serum is very, very awesome. Yeah, thank you, Grace. So if you're super, I mentioned the gua sha. If you're really curious, if you go to our blog, we've got some pretty thorough videos and blog posts that really dive a lot into the gua sha. So you can check that out and spend a little bit more time on that. But I want to make sure to talk about the moisturizers and probably at least a few more products. But keep throwing questions in. This is really, really helpful, really good. Now, moisturizers. So let me back up even further. When we're using, Anne Marie skincare, the serum and the moisturizer they're different. Serums tend to be very targeted. Serums tend to be where we're really eliciting change in the skin. They're a lot lighter weight and they don't usually have much of a fat component to them. So they're not very supportive for the barrier of the skin. They are perfect and great and necessary, but you still are going to need a moisturizer. And this is where oils come in. We have both oil and cream options. I won't get into the cream option. If you're curious, hop onto the consultation that's after this. I'm sure Emily will definitely talk about it, but let's talk about these guys here. So this is the anti-aging facial oil. And when I tell you this has a cult following, I mean it. This is one of my favorite products to go look at reviews for because there are thousands. And sometimes they are so cute and so interesting. And sometimes people post pictures of like how their skin has changed. So, if you're curious, I encourage you to go check it out and see what we've got on the site as far as reviews go. But the anti-aging facial oil. So this is an incredibly rich, very pure, very moisturizing oil. The anti-aging facial oil is anchored in a rich golden organic jojoba, which is important if you have very, very dry skin because jojoba mimics skin's natural kind of oil in its size, in its quality, very closely. So when you're dry and you're applying an oil like jojoba, skin and the body recognizes this pretty quickly. There's not a huge delay as far as this being integrated into skin. And that's really what we want with the facial oils. We use very pure, very unadulterated oils as the bases. And so when these get applied to the skin, they get to be integrated. And so the skin takes on this very healthy, very radiant, very glowy look to it. And that's true for my 20-year-old customers. That's true for my 90-year-old customers. Everybody's skin looks very healthy utilizing oils as moisture. Now, on top of that, we have really, really crafted this to be very restorative for the skin. We've got very, very nutritious ingredients like broccoli seed, chia seed, goji berry, all of these that really kind of feed the skin. They keep the skin very, very supple and very resilient. So utilizing the anti-aging facial oil, this is an incredible one for skin that's super dry. This is really, really supportive for skin that has creasing and particularly deeper creasing. So this is another one that is available in two sizes. So you can find this in the 15 milliliter size. You can also find this one in the larger 30 milliliter size here on the site. Also, the smell is heavenly. I'm scrolling up because there are some other comments in here. Guasha focuses on. Ah, that's sweet, Pam. We'll make a note of that we might just do like a insider favorite tips and tricks. Actually, I'll give you a really good one with the next facial oil. Karen would like to try the anti-aging oil. Yeah, this is one that I kind of always have on hand. My skin is dry. It's not always the one that I reach for. I do tend to reach for the rejuvenating quite a bit. But if I'm having a day where I really need some barrier support, I am reaching for the anti-aging facial oil. Perfect, Donna. Okay. Uh, Penny. Okay, so are the products safe to use if recovering from a skin abrasion, waxing? Well, it can depend. And so I wouldn't necessarily recommend that you're applying the products to an open wound. And so if you just had waxing done, usually the skin might be a little bit thinner, but it's not typically open. In that case, you're probably fine. But if for some reason your esthetician or professional, maybe they had an off day and there was a little bit of lifting and you have some scabbing, in that case, I wouldn't necessarily use something. Maybe the coconut honey mask, uh, this one, that can be helpful if you've got something where, like lifting, or if you feel like the skin is really red and thin where you were waxed. The coconut oil and the honey are super nutritious. They can be really, really comfortable. For helping that. So that would be my response. But if you've got something that's like an open abrasion, like, it's still really recovering, you're better suited for something that's directly helping that heal than working on anti-aging. So that would be my response to that. I do see your question, Kimberly. I want to come back to that. I want to talk about this next one. So this is the herbal facial oil for sensitive skin. And it's a little bit lighter. So this one is anchored in a grape seed, but it is also very, very rich. We have steeped into it squalane, we have sacha inchi, we have camellia seed, these herbs that are very calming. So if your skin is prone to reactivity, if with the dryness you feel like you're getting reactions or the skin feels really red or tender at all, it can be very, very calming, very soothing. It's also specifically crafted without any added essential oils. We have essential oils in every one of our products very intentionally, very purposefully, and with a lot of education. We're not using, we use very, very small percentages. But this one has none. This does not have any added essential oil in it. So my tip, this could be your daily facial moisturizer. You're wearing this to moisturize the skin. But an aside, a way that I like to use this is I like to use this to remove eye makeup. So if I have had a night where I have needed to wear heavier makeup or I have a lot of makeup on, I can, of course, use our cleanser. This is called the Restorative Cleansing Oil. This is a great one for that. But I also very much like this specifically for the eye area. So I don't remember who it was a little bit ago who was like, I love hearing your tips and tricks. This is a tip and trick. I keep this one on hand for that. I do also use it if I have, if my skin is really sensitive or when we first launched the lactic toner, which I do love, 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 love. I kind of went super hard with it and my skin was just a little, I guess, dry red for a day or two. And so I was using it for that. So very, very helpful for calming down redness. Okay, I want to come in and get some of these questions answered and then talk about eye cream and sunscreen. And then I want to do a giveaway before the call's over. I don't want to forget. Okay, Kimberly, can I talk about the rejuvenating facial oil? I'll talk about it a little bit. It's not part of the Restore collection, so I want to make sure I give time for the products that are in it, but it is my favorite. So, of course, the rejuvenating facial oil is the facial oil that's part of the Wild Alchemy collection. And the rejuvenating facial oil is crafted totally differently. So, with all of our facial oils, essentially the process is we've got an anchor oil and we steep into it whatever plants or seeds or herbs we're really wanting, to give us the final product. And so that could be broccoli seed, that could be black cumin seed, whatever it is, we steep it in the oil. With the rejuvenating facial oil, we kind of went off the rails a little bit. The process, when we were talking about this, when we wanted to launch this, we're like, we want to create the most potent facial oil ever that can still be used daily, right? That detail got important because we had to kind of clean that up a little bit. But what we do with the rejuvenating facial oil is we still did a little bit of steeping. So we've got blue tansy that's steeped into it. But then instead of steeping all these other things into it, we've added them directly into the blend. So let's use black cumin seed, for example. Black cumin seed is an incredible anti-ager. It's also awesome to be taken orally. So if you are looking into anti-aging herbs and things, black cumin seed's a really nice one. But with a lot of our other products, we steep that into the oil. So we kind of glean the benefits of the black cumin seed. What we have in the rejuvenating facial oil is we have the black cumin seed already in a concentrated form that we add into the blend. So the result is the rejuvenating facial oil is an incredibly concentrated, very potent facial oil. It is incredibly, and I cannot stress this enough, incredibly supportive for lines increasing. One of the ingredients in it that we have in the concentrated form is mongango. And mongango seed is one of the best oils I have found for softening fine lines and softening fine lines pretty quickly. There still is a little bit of a turnaround time. I want to give you super realistic expectations. You're probably still looking at a month before you're starting to see big softening happening. But when it starts to work, it starts to work. So the rejuvenating facial oil is a little bit like off the rails as far as the whole craft process. It's a little bit out of what we normally do, but the end result is a very, very, very potent product. This is one that it's not uncommon for folks to mix. So sometimes the potency is enough that it can be a little activating for certain skin types. So this is a really common one that people will do kind of half a pump of this with a half a pump of the anti-aging. Kind of dilutes it a little bit, can make it more comfortable for certain skin types, make it a little bit easier to wear. It also extends the life of it. This is not an inexpensive facial oil by any means, and so sometimes it can help to extend it a little bit that way. But that's the rejuvenating facial oil. Yeah, Celeste, so what do we mean when we say barrier support? So the skin has a natural barrier. It's called the acid mantle. And the barrier can get compromised. If you think of like, gosh, what analogy could I use? I mean, maybe soil. You're thinking about like the earth. You've got the soil that's this kind of barrier support. Maybe grass on the soil is this barrier support. And lots of things can deplete it. And, if we're talking about grass and soil or plants and soil, things like, agricultural farming or intense soil erosion, lots of water. So the skin, the acid mantle, the barrier of the skin can also be eroded. And the skin on the face and the neck, that barrier has a different pH than the skin on the body, just slightly. It's a little bit more acidic. So we work with the skin of the face a little differently than we work with the body. Typically, when we're working on things like barrier support, or working on restoring a healthy kind of flora, microbiome, and upper level of the skin so that the skin as an organ can maintain both the natural permeability and what's the word? The opposite of permeability, like keeping the right things out. So that's what we mean when we talk about the barrier. So a lot of times when we're talking about like barrier support, we're talking about things like fat, like oils. We might be talking about creams or lotions or something like that. But typically it's more emollient products that are specifically working with the barrier that's going to be naturally on the kind of upper external level of the skin. Okay, I'm just looking at these questions here. Oh, nice. Cool. Okay, so Emily's been using the restorative facial cream and loving it. Great. That's awesome. I love all the products during the winter. Restorative facial cream. Okay, lots of fans of the restorative facial cream. I will just show it off. This is the cream. I'm not going to get into it. If you're super interested on the consultation that's after this call, I imagine Emily is going to talk about all of this and then some. Um, so you can join her there. Okay, question for a from person on Facebook. Can I use the vitamin C on sunspots by my eyes, but the anti-aging everywhere else? I have rosacea. Well, so for my Facebook guest, the vitamin C, if we're talking about the Brighten, is a booster. So this is not something that we want to be applying directly to the skin ever. What we want to be doing is mixing it into something else. So in theory, it might work for you to mix a very small amount. I'm talking no more than like a pump, maybe not even a pump, maybe like half a pump. Like if you're doing the dropper, like a drop, just a single drop into the eye cream around your eye. I would not take it above the orbital bone. So I don't know if that is making sense. So let's say we take out the eye cream. I'm going to do a tiny pump of it and apply it right around the orbital bone. The thing with the eye area is the tissue around the eye is like tissue paper. And if you've ever dunked tissue paper in water, you know that it will pull up. It like naturally pulls up liquid. The eye area is very similar. So even though we're being very conscientious to not apply the Brighten like right up by the eyeball, applying it around the orbital bone, it's going to naturally get pulled a little closer too. So if your sun damage is right up by the eye, this can still be really good. This could still work for you. I would move slowly because with rosacea being something that you experience, it is possible that that feels a little too active for you. So I'd start very slow, maybe start on a night that you know you don't have big plans tomorrow. If you notice that you're really dry or really red the next day, then like, maybe that system isn't working for you. You might try something like the citrus stem cell or the wild fruit serum. But that would be my best recommendation for how to do that. Okay, cool. I do see some questions here, but I really want to do a giveaway, and I'm getting lower on time. So I want to give away our Illuminating Pearl Mask, and I do want to tell you about this one. I see Grace clapping. The Illuminating Pearl Mask is just my absolute favorite. The smell of it, really unique. This is kind of what it looks like. My lighting's a little bit iffy. But the illuminating pearl mask is very creamy and very soft. Even with that, though, it's not going to be super, super dense. It's really, really nice for dry skin and sensitive skin without being overly, overly heavy. If you need something overly heavy, the coconut honey mask is great. This really, really is a rich one, but this is a pretty even one. This also has incredibly supportive anti-agers, specifically some brighteners. So if you've got sunspots, dark spots, if your if your skin complexion is dull, my words got faster than I was ready for. If your skin complexion is feeling dull, this is a really great one. But one of the key ingredients in this one is a crushed pearl powder. And the crushed pearl powder really leaves the skin looking very radiant and very, very dewy. This is a mask that I recommend for weddings, if you're in a wedding, if you're getting married, whatever. Just if you want to have the glowiest look to the skin, feels pretty, pretty awesome. Okay, and if you are new to our consultations, how we do the giveaways is we ask a question and then we get our responses, and Grace is able to pick a winner kind of based on the question. So what I would like to know is I would like to know if Anne Marie Skincare was going to launch any mask at all, what you would like to see from us. What mask do we not have yet that you would like to see? And that could be ingredients in it, it could be the effects of it, it could be, you know, the changes you wish you would see in your skin, but that's what I would love to see here. And then as these are coming in, I'm going to come back up and answer some of these questions here. So I do see Yulia's question. What would you recommend putting under the foundation? Can it be the anti-aging oil? Yes, it absolutely can be the anti-aging oil. Some moisturizer is going to be pretty ideal. And you know, it can depend on what type of foundation you're using and what your skin type is like. That could vary a little bit, but the anti-aging facial oil is a great moisturizer. So if your skin's dry, this is going to be a really good one. And can of course be worn under foundation. Celeste, that's super sweet. So Celeste has shared that the anti-aging oil is the most divine scent. The anti-aging facial oil is actually one of the most polarizing scents. People either love it or hate it. I feel like when I used to work in customer support and you know, I was chatting with you guys all day, I would get a lot of people who were like, I can't stand this. I love it. I wish we had this in a bigger bottle because I would wear this all day long. It is absolutely unbelievable. But it is super unique. And especially if you're not used to kind of herbal scents or more herbal scents, I can see that it could be a little bit like, whoa, what is that? That's not flowers. Um, so it can be new for some folks. Okay. Let me see. Okay, cool. Now I'm just looking at the responses coming in. This is always so fun. And I will say that when we do these giveaways and we get this feedback, we do actually listen to you. So one of our more recent launches, the Rose Hydrosol, this is where the inception came from, was we asked, you know, we were asking people about what, you know, what they were interested in or what people wanted us to have. And a lot of people said a Rose Hydrosol. And we launched this in February. So we take your feedback very, very seriously. And I want to see what some of these masks are. Blue tansy and tallow. The tallow is always tricky for us. We have a lot of vegan customers and we do use beeswax and honey in some of our products. So, um, you know, that's real, but we do have very specifically certified beeswax and honey that is humane. It's safe for the bees. It's safe for the, you know, local flora. So that still works with a lot of people. But tallow, we haven't broached yet. We very much support tallow. What we've talked about more likely is featuring a tallow product or a couple tallow products from another brand that really does it well on the site, rather than kind of trying to do our own we because we haven't. That's not really been our thing so far. But blue tansy with tallow, yeah, very, very lovely. Ooh, a detox mask for sensitive skin. I wonder, Kate, if you have tried or heard of the Radiant C mask and polish, because this is a product that can be used either as a facial scrub or as a mask. And as far as being a pretty gentle detoxifier, this is one that a lot of my rosacea customers, a lot of my sensitive skin customers can use quite comfortably. So good suggestion. Really targets dark spots. Okay. A glow that lasts forever. Isn't so messy. It doesn't stain my fingers. I'm curious, Emily, if you've used the charcoal cacao, if that's where that feedback is coming from. Because although I don't notice it staining, it is very, very dark. Ayurvedic mask. Sunspots. Okay, lots of dark spots. Add moisture, dark spots. Dark spots. Dark spots. Sensitive skin. Skin discoloration. Purifying mask like a mud mask. Shrinking pores. Oh, an eye mask.
Mm.
Oh, I love that. Grace, how do you feel?
Good. We do have a winner, and our winner is Emily Maury. I apologize if I pronounced your last name incorrectly. I tried my best. But Emily, how this will work is usually we have a form to fill out, but since we're doing one giveaway today, it would be lovely if you could direct message me your email and then I will email you after this call. If that does not work, no worries at all. I will put our customer care email in there and you can email them as well. So yeah, either direct message me or email our customer care and I will get your product sent your way. But yay, Emily.
Cool. Okay, I'm still scrolling through these here. Lots of blue tansies. Okay, I want to see if I can get to, I think it's Rue's question. We've just got a handful of minutes. About to do a cycle of pre-cancer treatments on my face. Would good to know how the products today could help, but also got me thinking about masks that can be used either to do a super sun protection or a super soften inflammation thing. Find what's out there strong. Okay, it wasn't as much of a question as I expected. One thing I will say is that when I'm working with folks who are going through variations of chemo or radiation, as long as their health practitioners, their kind of support system has approved it, the coconut honey mask tends to come in really handy. A lot of times the skin can get very thin, the skin can get very, very dry, and this is a very rich mask. This is different than the giveaway. This is the coconut honey mask. You can see she's really, really thick. But when the skin is really dry, especially like lips and nose that where the skin is already really thin, that extra support with that really emollient honey and that really, really rich, rich coconut can be a good one to just have on hand. So I'll leave that there, but that's something that I thought of with the pre-cancer treatment. Okay, I'm just kind of going through turmeric mask. Yeah, the eye mask. Taking notes, big time taking notes. Okay, so that's perfect. Curious what we would put in an eye mask. How we do have, in the last couple of minutes, I'll give a sneak peek. I don't have it on my desk, but we are prepping to launch very soon an eye balm, which is not a mask per se, but is very, very rich. And yeah, just very, very dense and dewy around the eye area and can kind of meet the need that a lot of the kind of eye mask thoughts might. It's not something that you rinse off. It stays on, but I've been applying it pretty thick in the evening, thicker than I would probably apply if I was going to like go out into the world. And in that way, it almost feels like a mask. And yeah, I'm really excited for that one. And Grace, do you remember the timeline on that? That's within the next couple months that we're launching the balm, right?
Yes, and I actually did just put it in the chat. You can get on the wait list right now.
Sweet.
That link is in the chat, which is very exciting.
I always put myself on the wait list, even though I know when it launches because I like getting the texts too. So I'll do that after the call. But um, yay, cool. Okay, that's fun. So you can get on the wait list and get a heads up when that is prepping to launch. We've got just a few minutes here. We've got about 4 minutes, so it's a really good time to toss in any last minute questions. We didn't get into the eye cream, we didn't get into the Sun Love, but those are of course part of the Restore collection too. And then if you have questions that aren't getting answered, definitely join us on the consultation that's happening here in a few minutes. So Emily is going to be leading that one. Emily is so lovely, and she will be super helpful in getting questions answered and things like that. And are these products safe without any harmful chemicals? Yeah. So, Grace, maybe you want to quickly link the Made Safe for, oh, she's already on it. Thank you. Yeah, Made Safe. So you can go to our website and under our About page, there's a link that says Made Safe. So all of our products from the day that we have launched, literally the inception of the company was that we needed a clean line. For the sake of time, I'm not going to get into the story, but it is a really interesting story that you can also read about on the website. Um, but we don't, yeah, we list literally everything that goes into the product. We do not include things that are not safe for the body. We also don't include things that are not safe for the planet. And Made Safe, so what Made Safe is a third party that tests our products. So they test the ingredients before they go in, and then they test the final formulation. And they are confirming that we are void of upward of 8,000 plus toxins. So, and these are everything from known toxins like carcinogens to suspected toxins, like, things that we suspect could be potentially harmful. So it's a very thorough list, a very thorough system. We don't pay them, so they are, completely third party. They don't get a direct benefit from us. It's not like we pay them off to say this. So, yeah, pretty cool. Okay, we got two minutes. I saw a question pop in. Okay, the eye cream bothered my eyes so much I quit using it, and I tried two different bottles. So sometimes the eye cream, the potency of the stem cells that are in it can be activating. Every once in a while, there's somebody that will try the product and just, for whatever reason, the stem cells in it are pretty intense. We've considered taking the stem cells out for that reason, but it's a small enough percentage of people that it still benefits a lot of others. What I might say is that you might like the balm when the balm is launching here in the next few weeks. So definitely get on the wait list. The consistency is quite a bit different, like almost hard to describe. It feels like a melt in your fingers balm. So very soft. It does not have stem cells in it. So that potential trigger for some skin types or certain sensitive skin types is not incorporated. So that might be the next best fit for you, coming up here soon. Okay. Perfect. So Grace has got the coupon code in there. Just a reminder that the ASC Restore Love coupon does turn off. So you've just got until 1, right, Grace? Okay, 1 o'clock Pacific, to utilize that. So as you're shopping, definitely lean into that. And then if you're hopping onto the next call, now's a good time. So you can click on that link here and we're going to close it out. But thank you so much, everybody. Love getting to do these calls with you, and looking forward to the next time I see you. Thanks, everybody.